Hello everyone, my name is Thor and welcome back to Anthropology. Thank you for joining me in today's video. I know it's been a little bit of a hot minute, but I'm actually just gonna hold this. I'm back again for another video with you all. I've really been reevaluating my relationship with luxury goods lately, specifically handbags and sort of my general usage of bags, my general collection, just sort of rethinking my consumption patterns. And if you've been following this channel for a while, then you'll be well aware that I've gone through a roller coaster from having a small collection to really having a larger collection and then downsizing quite a bit, adding some things, taking things away, reevaluating as I go. And lately, I've been really taking pause. Obviously, the world's gone crazy. Like, the world was probably already crazy, but now it's like legitimately certifiable, institutionalizable crazy. And I've just been really reevaluating what I want for my life, what I want to spend my money on, and just generally how I want to use the space in my place. So recently, I was looking at my bag collection and I realized that there were a lot of bags that I was just like collecting for the sake of collecting them. Like I just had them for the sake of having them. Maybe I felt there was some type of sentimentality to why I wanted to keep these bags, but generally, I was not using pretty much any of them. Like I am very minimal in my day to day, especially when I go to the office. I don't want to have like a big luxury bag with me. So I've been really wearing like the same one, like Lululemon belt bag to just carry all my things. And I just keep all my things in there. Like I don't really change out of it. So I've been really reevaluating how I want to use the space in my closet. If I actually genuinely even use bags, like my whole thing with bags is I loved bags. I felt like bags were like the perfect way to get into the luxury space because they're leather goods, they're functional, they retain some value, like you can pass them on, whatever. Basically, using anything to justify the purchase of them. And I amassed quite a significant collection. I think at the peak I was at like 14 designer bags, which was crazy because I'm like not that old, you know? So I was spending a lot of my disposable income on these bags. And recently I was looking through my collection and there were two bags in particular that I was like I rarely used and I didn't really reach for them. And I was really forcing myself to reach for them. And that was the green Celine Ava bag that my now husband got me for Christmas a few years ago, and also the Bulgari clutch. And I figured, it was just time for them to move on. I wasn't big on using them. Like I didn't use them in my day to day. When I did use them, I think I used the Ava once in the past like year and a half and I like forced myself to use it. I just figured these bags would serve somebody else better. They could get more wear and I could use the money for something else. So I decided to part ways with them. And when I was re-looking at my collection now, I really transitioned away from feminine styles. I only have 5 designer bags now, and they are mostly pretty functional. Like, I've kept a lot of the Prada bags that I have, which is interesting. I started with Prada, and now I'm, like, ending with Prada. So I've kept a lot of the Prada bags. I kept my small Bottega mini cassette. I've kept the Bulgari mini Serpenti, and I kept my newest, obviously, D-squared suede duffel. But a lot of the bags I just wasn't using, and they were just sort of, like, keeping space. I was holding space for them in my closet, and I just really decided. I also sold my Fendi sweater because I never wore it. And I realized, like, why was I collecting all this stuff? And the only thing I realized that I actually really use, which is designer, is small leather goods. I love small leather goods. I use them for like everything, like my card cases to hold like AirPods, hold all my cosmetics. And those are the things that I can actually use on a day to day basis in my bag. I don't have to change out of them. While it's sad that I got rid of all of these bags, it really has brought me purse peace, if you will. And now I don't really yearn for any extra bags because I've gone through so many styles. I've gone through crossbodies, I've gone through shoulder bags, I've gone through top handle bags. And what I've come to realize is that I just actually don't like to wear designer bags. I know, who would have thought? But I don't actually feel comfortable wearing them. There's always something where I feel like either like the bag is wearing me or I just don't like holding it or I'm too conscious of it. There's just always something. And I feel like with more like less expensive, more just like purely functional things, I don't think about them. I just use them. And that I think has been like not a big like unlock for me, but it's been really interesting to sort of see myself go through this arc. I mean, my bank is probably rejoicing, which, we love. But I do find it interesting that I've gone through such a cycle with these things. And I felt like I needed to have, like, I needed it in my soul to have these items for whatever reason. And I really changed how I shop. I've really changed what I do when I shop and like the things that I'm actually shopping for. And it's been really interesting to go through. And I feel like selling a lot of the stuff that I wasn't using, I was like, oh no, like what if I regret it? There's always going to be something to buy, you know? It's interesting. Once I sold the Celine Ava and the Bulgari bag, I sold them to a consignment store. So obviously took an L, but whatever. I didn't have to do much of the work. And I was like, oh, maybe I can reinvest this money. And I'm like, but who cares? Like, I don't want to do that anymore. The one thing though, the one caveat, I do still like a good special collection. So the Murakami cherry blossoms, we see each other. I will be looking for an SLG from you. But I'm really thinking how I'm gonna use things now. And it's like before I wasn't really doing that. I was buying things based on appearance, on style. Like, did I like the style of it? Whereas now I'm like purely function. I was fashion over function, now I'm function over fashion. And it's been an interesting shift as I've become more like utilitarian. Maybe it's like the way things are like happening in the world. It's like, do we really want to spend all of our money on stuff? Like, we have so much stuff. It's just like overcrowding our lives. And now it's like, I just looking at my closet, I was like, what the hell? Like, I had so many bags and they were just sitting there because the gag is, I wouldn't even use them. I would use like a belt bag. I was a part of the belt bag epidemic. And yet I was having all of these things and I was constantly thinking about buying them and constantly thinking about spending on them. And just like they were consuming so much of my mental energy, my bank account, just like my physical space. And yet they weren't being used, which was so weird. Like when I took a step back, and I've been sort of taking steps back, it's been really interesting to like reevaluate like the actual use of it and then how I feel when I use them. And that's something I didn't really take into account before. It was just like, oh, how do I feel when I see the item or when I have it? Just like knowing that I have it, I'm like, oh my God, it's like so amazing. But I actually felt weird. I felt disconnected when I would actually use the items, almost like it's like an imposter, like it's not for me. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't really comfortable. Selling a lot of these things has actually been really beneficial for me in a lot of ways. Even though I've taken the L on like the dollar amounts that I spent on them, ultimately it's better because now I've like learned the lesson and I really don't see myself purchasing designer bags anymore. Especially my own style has changed. I've gone through like some feminine styles now. I'm more like masculine in my like attire, which, I think it's like good to ebb and flow and like change things up. You're not going to be the same person forever. You will evolve. If you are the same person forever, then like that's kind of scary too. And I think evolution is good. The only constant is change. And I've just really been reevaluating what I want for my life. I want to travel more, especially, like climate change. Like, who knows what's going to happen with that? I want to see the world while I can. That's where I'm at. I've really changed a lot of my shopping habits. And I've been sort of bringing you all along with me in some ways, but it's really crazy how designer handbags were like my crown jewel. I loved them. And I think I just liked the idea of them. Like, I didn't actually like using them, which is their primary purpose. Their primary purpose was to be used, to carry things around for you, not to be displayed on a shelf, you know? So it's been really eye opening to grow and change and evolve and self reflect. And I think YouTube has been a really good way for that. So that's where I'm at now. I feel like I've reached first piece, knock on wood. I will still be buying SLGs when I see ones that really I like, or if there's collections I like. Like, obviously, this is all to say I will still be purchasing like luxury goods, but it's interesting because I've gone through like almost the full gamut. I've got shoes and I got rid of almost all my shoes because they were really uncomfortable. I bought a bunch of ready to wear and then I got rid of a bunch of ready to wear because it's like I don't want to think about it. Like, I felt weird if I was like eating in it, or it's like I felt weird if I had to then get it dry cleaned. And I was like, oh my God, it's just like another thing. And then I bought bags and I was like, oh, well, I actually don't like using the bags. But SLGs are the weird thing where I actually like kind of like using them. Like SLGs, hats, like things that I can wear in addition to something else. Small accessories, sunglasses. Like, that is where I'm really going to like keep designer items, open to me in like that realm. But everything else is just sort of, I'm done with that. Let me know where you're all at with your designer journeys. This channel has been going on almost 5 years now, which is crazy. So thank you all for continuing to watch and support. Over 4,000 of you, which is actually kind of crazy when I think about it. I like didn't even think it would get to this point, but thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being on this journey with me. Let me know where you're at down below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.